Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So the new consumer price index, the CPI, just came out. And I know most of you guys are not shocked about that, but guess what? The inflation is picking up again. Over the last year, prices for everyday goods and services rose by 2.7%. That's a bit higher than it was last month. And while that probably doesn't sound like it's a high number, well, it is enough to make life tougher for lots of everyday Americans, working class families. So exactly where is all this inflation taking place? Like which part of the economy is being inflated to this point? Well, as most of you probably already know, it is rent and mortgages. Housing account for almost 2/3 of the overall jump in inflation this year. Prices for shelter, as is described in the CPI report, that's just a fancy way of saying, what people are paying for rent, mortgages, or whatever, or however much is costing you to keep a roof over your head. Well, that went up 3.8% in the past 12 months. That means that more and more people are paying more of the paychecks to for rents, basically. And it's just, it's not just housing. So not only, I mean, it feels like people are getting hit from both sides. So not only are they getting hit from, inflation with housing, but also they're getting hit with food. Food prices are also up. Food prices rose by 3%. Okay, about cost 3% more than it did last year. So if you're trying to buy basics like everyday groceries or I don't know, maybe you like fast food or do anything like that, well, you are definitely going to pay more. All right, some categories like meat, poultry, fish, eggs shot up even more. Utilities went up, especially natural gas, household goods, medical care have also climbed, stretching budgets even thinner. Like people are really having a tough time right now. All right. At the same time, all those things are up. I mean, there might be a little bright spot in all of this. Used cars and airfares and gas that actually fell, but it is probably not enough for people to even notice that it fell. So the question is, what is happening here? What's going on? Why are these prices going up? All right. So, I mean, I did a video on this, but let's hear it maybe possibly from the man himself. So let's take a listen here real quick.
President Donald Trump has signed an executive order that would have new tariffs on a wide swath of U.S. trading partners to go into effect on the 7th of August. It's the next step in his trade agenda that will test the global economy and alliances. The order was issued on Thursday evening, following a series of tariff-related activities as the White House reached agreements with various nations. Trump also announced that he would be extending trade negotiations with Mexico for 90 days, keeping 25% tariff rates in place. But he is raising the tariff rate on U.S. imports from Canada to 35% from 25% effective Friday, citing a lack of cooperation to stop traffickers and illicit drugs. The vast majority of nations are continuing to face uncertainty ahead of the coming deadline. And while a handful of trade deals have trickled in, many details remain hazy, with businesses around the world bracing for more price hikes regardless.
Yeah, so you guys guessed it. Tariffs. Okay, the U.S. effective tariffs have climbed to 9%. Okay, from 2.4% a year ago. Let me repeat that. The effective tariff rates currently right now is at 9%. That's what it was 2.4% a year ago. All right. And companies right now are finally passing those higher costs to consumers. What happened earlier was that companies, as they were aware that they knew that this tariff stuff was coming. So what they did is they bought a lot of extra products, and they stored them in their warehouses. Just in case. Maybe I think probably most people thought maybe this was going to be a phase, maybe this a couple months, then they come to an agreement, and so on and so forth, and everything's going to be over. So companies stored extra products. Well, they ran out. I think this tariff stuff is going on longer than probably most people anticipated that it would go. That they would go. People thought that maybe Donald Trump himself thought that, hey, listen, I'm going to announce these tariffs, and everybody's going to get scared, and they're going to come running, and everyone's going to make a deal, and everything's going to be fine by summer. Well, this is not what's happening. This tariff stuff is going on even longer. So what's happening is the companies that stored products and kept them in their warehouses, well, now it's over. They don't have any more. So now prices, there's not the higher costs for goods are finally making its way into the economy. And so they couldn't hold on anymore. All right. So in the midst of all of that, all right, what I'm telling you here with the prices and so on and so forth, Donald Trump just announced more tariffs on goods from Mexico, Japan, Canada, Brazil, EU, and I think just the other day he just announced more tariffs on India. He wants to go after India, and India is like, listen, you put tariffs on me, I'll put tariffs back on you. Same thing. Him and Brazil has been going back and forth with each other, and maybe I'll do another separate video on that. But basically, Brazil's like, hey man, you want to put tariffs on me? We didn't vote for a king. You don't tell us what to do. If you put tariffs on us, we'll reciprocate. We'll put tariffs back on you. And what do you think that's going to do to the job market? And what do you think that's going to do to prices? All right. So anyway, at the same time, he wants the Federal Reserve, he wants Jerome Powell to cut rates. But this is going to be interesting. But now all this tariff stuff is finally, all right, finally starting to make its way back into the economy. Now, the Federal Reserve now is, they still want to keep their mandate where they want to try and keep inflation under 2%. That's not going to happen. That's a pipe dream. I don't think we're ever going to go back down to 2%. And if we do, if they say, oh, yeah, we're close to 2%, it's bullshit. It's a lie. They've probably fudged the numbers. And I don't believe that. All right. So I don't think we're ever going to go back down to that point again. But right now, and the Fed, like I was saying earlier, the problem that they're having is that these tariffs is causing inflation. At the same time, the job markets are not so hot. Actually, the CPI, the job market, the job report just came out on Friday. I think I have it here. Let me see. Let me just pull that up real quick and see if I could share some of that with you guys and show you guys the unemployment numbers and what just basically just came out the other day. All right, so here we go. As you guys can see, so this is from Friday, August 1st, job growth. The U.S. economy added 73,000 non-farm payroll jobs in July, which was much lower than economists expected. Significant downward revision were made to the job growth figures for May and June, indicating a weaker job market than previously reported. The combined jobs added in May and June were revised down by 258,000. The unemployment rate ticked up as well, up to 4.2% in July, up from 1% in June, though it remained within the narrow range of 4.0 to 4.2 observed since May 2024. The number of long-term unemployed individuals, meaning those that are jobless for 27 weeks or more, that increased by 179,000. Okay, so which is showing that the economy is slowing. Okay, people are losing jobs. We're not adding as many jobs as many economists thought. I mean, they thought maybe not as much, but not by these numbers, and it's getting worse. And we're just ramping up this. We're just ramping up more tariffs. We're not stopping. All right. So the Fed is like, hey, look, man, we're not in a rush to cut rates because you have tariffs that's causing inflation. And then which means inflation, that means the Feds want to keep the rates high. But then again, people are losing jobs. Businesses are closing. Normally, in normal times, the Fed would be, more inclined to cut rates when things like that are happening. But they can't cut rates because we have inflation. Okay, the Fed is worried that if they do cut rates, all right, that what it's going to do is it's just going to, make things even worse for the working class. It's going to make prices even more expensive. It's going to put more pressure on people, and it's going to cause a bigger price surge. And they don't want to do that. And this is a big problem for them. So basically, in a nutshell, everyday people are being squeezed, mainly because of cost of housing and food. And tariffs, as you guys probably know already, is the main driver. Right now, they're saying the government is worried, but they're not panicking. They're holding steady interest rate. They're gonna, if the Fed, like I did in my previous video, they're like, look, listen, we're just gonna watch the data. We're not gonna make any brash moves or anything like that. But meanwhile, things are getting much worse for families who are just scraping by. Small increases in prices can feel pretty big to people who are living paycheck to paycheck, especially when especially if you lose your job, you got rent to pay, you got mortgages and so on and so forth. The food is more expensive. Everything is more expensive. And so I'm curious to see where this thing is going to go. But anyway, so that is going to be it for me today, guys. Please, if you like this video, if you like this content, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for stopping by. I will see you soon.